This is an overview of Operation Mechagon Workshop. Tussle and Tonks. This boss has a minor healing check and some positioning requirement. There are 3 things to remember. First, the tank has to move the boss around the edge of the room periodically. So stand towards the middle of the room or stand behind where the tank is rotating the boss. You need to do this so you can bait the bombs away from where the tank is headed. Second, when Gnomercy charges you, it knocks you back, so don't get knocked into the bombs. Third, use healing cooldowns on Ground Pound, which occurs roughly every 20 seconds. I'll go over the pummeler's abilities first, then Gnomercy, and finally the positioning strategies. Platinum plating. This is a tank job. The tank has to use the hammers on the edge of the room to break the plating, which reduces the boss's damage taken. Platinum pummel. This is the tank buster. It's a big circle that you just have to avoid. Ground pound. This does physical damage to all players every half a second for 4 seconds. It occurs roughly every 20 to 23 seconds. Try to pay close attention to your clothies in the group because it's physical damage. This ability can go off at the same time where Gnomercy is spawning the bombs on you. Gnomercy. This boss has 2 charge abilities and 1 area of denial ability. Maximum thrust. Gnomercy charges the tank every 30 seconds or so. The tooltip says random players, but I've seen a lot of VODs and it always chooses the tank now. When it hits the wall, it spawns mine. Foe flipper. Gnomercy charges a non-tank player and knocks them way up high and back. If you get targeted, make sure your back isn't to any bombs. Battle Mine. Gnomercy spawns bombs under random players' locations. It's like on every single player in the group. That's why positioning is so important. So there are really 2 positioning strategies I've seen. First, have your whole group stand on the edge of the room, and then whenever bombs are spawned, the tank will just move the boss a little bit. The second strategy, ranged players can stand in the center of the room, and then they spawn the bombs there. If you're doing this strategy, when a bomb spawns, just move a little bit over, and then you'll be ready for foe flipper, and you won't have a bomb behind you. So just move slowly across the inner circle to make sure that you have a clear path behind you. K.U.J.O the Dog. This boss is really challenging for the tank, and the group damage is tied to the tank debuff, so there's double pressure at that time. There are 3 things to remember. Hide behind boxes when Vent Flames is cast. Second, never stand on the boxes unless it's time for Vent Flames. If you stand on the boxes and the boss jumps on you, he will destroy the box. Third, dispel the tank as soon as possible. The tank buster is brutal. Explosive Leap. The boss jumps on 3 random non-tank players. It deals a chunk of damage and will break any box if you're standing next to it. Don't stand on the boxes. Vent Flames. When the boss casts Vent Flames, you need to hide behind these boxes or you'll die. Blazing Chomp is the main healer mechanic, and it's also the tank buster. You have to dispel it as soon as you can or the tank will die. When dispelled, it does very large chunk damage to the entire group. Make sure to give your tank an external and heal the group close to full before you dispel. Basically, you want to instant dispel unless the group is below 75% health. If they are too low, give the group a little healing before dispelling the tank and just pray the tank lives. If you want to play it safe, always dispel the tank on time and let the DPS can take care of themselves. Major overlaps. The boss will cast Explosive Leap 5 seconds before Blazing Chomp. So you have to top the players from the Explosive Leap before dispelling the Blazing Chomp off the tank. This happens 2 times during the encounter, at roughly 42 seconds and then 1 minute and 15 seconds in. I'd use my cooldowns at those 2 points. Machinist Garden. This boss is all about dodging and there's basically nothing to heal. There is some spot healing from the flowers that shoot people, but that's about it. You will need to dodge the beams and the cogs. The longer the fight goes on, the more cogs that will spawn. So if you were thinking about healer cooldowns, try to save them for the end of the fight when people struggle to dodge the cogs. Let's talk about the main damage. The boss spawns a flower gun mob. Every 40 seconds this mob spawns and will shoot a random DPS player. The DPS will need to focus this flower down in order to end the damage. The blossom will focus 1 player for a little bit and then switch to a second player. You can see this on the log. King Mechagon. This boss has 2 phases and phase 1 is basically a joke. You need to dodge these little orbs that shoot along this arrow's path. The orbs travel until they reach the circle indicator in front of them. For phase 1, you basically just need to do damage to the boss. Phase 2. There are 2 things to remember in phase 2. The second phase has 2 things to worry about as a healer, in addition to dodging the orbs like we talked about in phase 1. Mega Zap. This ability targets 3 players one after the other. It deals upfront damage and applies a 12-second dot. If you get hit by more than one in a row, it applies a debuff, so you'll take like triple damage or something and you'll probably die. Most players make a fan type design with this, so their beams are like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Magneto Arm. This is the main healer mechanic for the fight. The boss summons a magnet that pulls players towards it. This is a 9-second ticking AoE damage. You need to use your cooldowns for this. It occurs 40 seconds into the second phase, and then every 1 minute thereafter. Minor abilities. Pulse Blast. This is the tank buster, but it's hardly worth mentioning, it does nothing. Trash mobs. The first boss room has one mob that you need to worry about. They're called bomb tanks. They have an ability called Detonate. If it goes off, you might wipe. In Pugs, try to pull this room 2 parts. Coordinated groups can do it all at once and CC chain the bomb tanks guys so that the cast never goes off. Second boss trash. The waste processing unit does big AoE damage, just heal forehead. The slime mobs are just after that. They no longer explode like they once did. Instead, they apply a healing absorb to the party, so you gotta heal it off, and you can't line of sight it. There's a new pack of trash called the mini dogs. These dogs jump on players and apply a dot. This can be dispelled. Try to dispel if any player gets 2 or more stacks. Use an external on anyone with 3 or more stacks, or while the spell is on cooldown. Third boss trash. The MK3 has this ability called Short Out. Another mob in the pack casts Arcing Zap, which can be dispelled. Make sure to stay on top of your dispels while you're fighting the MK3, so that you're ready for when he casts Short Out. The Spider Tank mob does constant ticking damage. You'll need to use healing cooldowns for this. He also has a frontal to dodge. Fourth boss trash. This is kind of just a heal through it gauntlet, but there's one thing to remember. These yellow domes block all damage from Short Out. Ask your DPS to stand in the dome, and it should be much easier because it'll block most of the incoming damage.